And if you can see out to the hall, which you can't obviously, but I can, there's a ton of players filing in on top of those playing in the Invitational. So a huge weekend of Magic in front of us.
Now, we earlier this weekend saw Brian Kibler playing a green-black based, basically kind of a Predator Ooze aggro deck. Leon Kornacki's deck is kind of more what you'd expect when you think of a black-green aggro. He's got the black base of his deck, so rather than running Predator Ooze, his color is Geralf's Messenger. And so, in a sense, you can think of this as the zombies with green. You've got your Lotleth Troll, Dreg Mangler, and friends. And we see the start here with a turn 1 zombie.
It's a Gravecrawler.
Gravecrawler, the alternate art, versus a Temple Garden. Reid Duke with Bant Control. He's been playing this for many, many moons now. Still has that one amass the components if you're curious.
As you see Leon get off to a very fast start here with a Rancor on his Gravecrawler and a second copy of Gravecrawler. So Reid very quickly under the gun.
Now, one of the things about the various builds of Gravecrawler decks, you've got your Gravecrawlers, you've got your Diregraph Ghouls, you've got a lot of 2 power that you can come down on the table on turn 1, and it can put a lot of pressure on, but fighting back against that are cards like Thragtusk. This is actually a style of matchup we've been seeing for a while now. Oh boy. You got a slip there, buddy?
Yeah,
okay.
So he has a Tragic Slip to prevent the other Gravecrawler from getting trapped into the Detention Sphere. And also means that he can just simply recast his Gravecrawler next turn. So
that was very fortunate that he had one of his only 3 removal spells in his hand.
Yep. As Reid falls to 6 here, actually facing lethal damage next turn. But Leon's hand, I believe, is just 2 more lands, so if Reid has a Supreme Verdict, yep. Excellent card to have. Oh, is that it? Is that a Grizzly Salvage in his hand? Oh, okay. So yeah, we're down to Rancor, land, and Grizzly Salvage. And there's a Geralf's Messenger, which is brutal for multiple reasons. A, is a Geralf's Messenger. Yeah. Secondly, it's going to allow him to recast his 2 Gravecrawlers.
Now, if we imagine this with Reid going down to 4, a Geralf's Messenger and 2 Gravecrawlers in play, a Thragtusk, if he has one in his hand, will bring him back up to 9, which is still actually in a little bit of danger there, particularly given that there's a Rancor in hand.
Yep.
Down to 4.
And fortunately for Reid, Leon's 5th lane was a Golgari Guildgate, which prevents him from casting the second Gravecrawler out of his graveyard this turn.
Now let's see if Reid has the Thragtusk. They always have the Thragtusk.
Yeah, it's not in there to not draw. So Reid going up to a slightly more comfortable 9.
I mean, he's still facing a fair amount of damage here.
Yep.
In they come.
Rancor on Gravecrawler and Geralf's Messenger presenting 7 points. If Reid doesn't block, he would, in theory, die to a removal spell Leon could have, as he could target his own Messenger. So even with Reid having a pretty nice reactive curve here of Detention Sphere, Supreme Verdict, and Thragtusk, he's by no means out of the water. And that Gravecrawler is still in the graveyard as well.
Now, one of the things that Reid has available to him to fight decks like this, if you've been paying attention to Standard lately, you're familiar with the 4 Thragtusks, 4 Sphinx's Revelations that these Bant decks can use to resist all of this damage. And you can see why it's necessary, just the sheer amount of damage Reid has taken in so few turns.
So he's going to block the Geralf's Messenger and fall to 5 from the Gravecrawler and then to 3 from the Messenger trigger. Gravecrawler gets played out of the graveyard, and we have a Rakdos Cackler to finish things up.
Reid looks for a miracle, doesn't see it. A Supreme Verdict would be pretty good right now. He would still die to a Dreg Mangler if one came off the top. A Thragtusk would bring him back up to 8, which would keep him alive. A Sphinx's Revelation, it does not look like he has an extra lane, would only be for 2.
Think twice.
Think twice. Oof.
A sign of a desperate man. Perhaps digging for a Supreme Verdict.
We see a Drownyard. He says pass. Azorius Charm could potentially stop 4 of the damage, still making him dead after a block.
Yeah,
I think he's going think for Terminus. Hope it shows up on top.
Think for Terminus.
We are taking signs for today's standard open at the open stage in front of the room.
Let's see if it happens. Think.
Also want to point out,
Terminus, is it a miracle?
just to the right
You got me.
of the open
Okay.
stage, we do have 3 wonderful
Leon Kornacki takes game 1 there.
Michael C. Hayes, Jason Fields.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Patrick Sullivan. It's the Star City Games Open Series featuring the Invitational. On your left, Leon Kornacki, who I believe you said, Patrick, was from the Arizona area?
Yes.
And Reid Duke here on the right, well-known Star City Games writer, and he really, I think, made a name for himself on Magic Online, which then he translated into a lot of fame and fortune via being a Magic writer and getting more deep into the Magic circuit.
Yeah, I mean, Reid's, well, you know, when you think of that transition, you think of Brad Nelson first, obviously.
Yes.
But then, in a close second, is Reid. I
Yes.
mean, he's been, had a ton of success on the Grand Prix and Pro Tours. He's become a very successful writer. And so those two guys, when I think of the Moto to IRL success, those are the two first names that come to mind.
Absolutely. Now, one of my favorite Reid Duke things, so to speak, if you remember the epic match between Conley Woods and Craig Wesco at Pro Tour, where Rich Hagon, commentating, said, you know, oh my God, you know, what do you, who out there thinks that Conley Woods can pull this match off? And Brian David Marshall says, well, we've got 3 hands and one person's holding up 2 hands. Huge room full of people, all the spectators. No one thought Conley Woods could pull it off. And in the end, Conley Woods did pull off that epic match. Apparently the 2-hand guy, that was Reid Duke. So going to the sideboards here, we see Rox's Faithmender. It's a 1-4? 1-5. 1-5 that doubles your life gain. I would see a Restoration Angel, Azorius Charm, 2 more Terminus, all being likely entrances into Reid's deck.
Yes, and on the other side, we have 2 copies of Underworld Connections that can come in here. 3 copies of, as you have Golgari Charm, Vampire Knock, Crypt Keeper, Tree of Redemption, Abrupt Decay. Not really suited for this matchup, but Underworld Connections definitely can give Leon a little more staying power as we get into the middle turns of the game.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that if Reid Duke is going to try to slow the game down, actively slowing it down against this aggro deck, Leon needs to be able to play a game that lasts a few more turns, and Underworld Connections is a way to do that.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of other beatdown decks you've seen historically that are not that durable against sweeping effects, between Gravecrawlers, Regeneration, threats with Scavenge, Undying guys, the whole thing.
Yeah, Lotleth Troll regenerating.
Yeah, the black-green zombie deck definitely has a lot of staying power against Wraths. It's a lot less stable against Terminus, because that, you know, all the zombie durability is about regeneration or playing out of the graveyard in some way, and Terminus shuts all that stuff out. So a lot more important for Reid to find copies of that card than Supreme Verdict, which, as we saw that game, Leon was able to fight through.
So I have a question for you. What do you think about some people and their choice to use Rest in Peace as a card against zombies?
I think I don't think it's certainly not blank. I don't think it's going to, certainly not going to beat the deck on its own. But Rest in Peace backed up by Wraths cleans up a lot of what the zombies deck is capable of doing. It shuts down some of their durability plays, and so if you have ways to attrition them out or play removal spells, whatever, Rest in Peace alongside that can do a lot of work in slowing down the zombies deck.
I think that one of the things I kind of feel about Rest in Peace is that in a deck like Reid's, I don't mind it, but I wouldn't want a second copy.
Yeah, 1 seems perfect. I totally agree.
And we see the opening Deathrite Shaman from Leon Kornacki.
Saw a lot of these during the Legacy portion.
This guy has made an appearance.
Yes. He's a little less powerful than Sinner, obviously, because just no fetch lands to make him Birds of Paradise plus 2 awesome powers.
Yeah.
But
I was playing Modern online all night last night after the event, and Deathrite Shaman, I was playing him, and so were many of my opponents.
So Leon just passing the turn, not even attacking with his Deathrite Shaman.
This is not the blistering start we saw earlier.
So I'm curious as to why he held back.
Ostensibly, it's possible he could Grizzly salvage, get a land in his yard, and cast a tragic slip.
Sure, is he? Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that that's a reasonable, like, set of events, but just trying to come up with something.
So Leon looking after his Grizzly salvage here into Swamp, Diagraph Ghoul, Dreg Mangler, and another card I can't quite make out, but he's gonna take the Mangler. Yeah,
the not attack there. That's a strange one.
I'm sure there's it's greater than no reason. I can't figure out what the line is just yet.
And Giralf's Messenger, and this time the Shaman does attack. Down to 19 for Reid Duke. I think that might have been a Rest in Peace I just saw.
Correct.
Boom! Take that.
Rest in Peace, pretty awesome against Leon's board in multiple ways.
The Deathrite Shaman is a much weaker creature when he's just a 1/2 for 1.
And now the Dreg Manglers, if they get Supreme Verdicted away, they don't have Scavenge, the Undying doesn't work. I mean, it's this card backed up by Wrath effects is very powerful against zombies.
We can see in Leon's hand another Deathrite Shaman, a Rancor. Rancor, another card which gets slightly hurt by Rest in Peace. I mean, your first time putting the Rancor down still works, but you don't get the whole point of Rancor, which is that it comes back and comes back and comes back.
Yeah, if you look at Leon's hand, you're seeing in his board of Rancor and Deathrite Shaman and Giralf's Messenger, it's like normally very good against spot removal and sweeping effects. A lot of sustainability against those kind of cards. But now, with the graveyard shut off, it's just not happening.
Rancor on Giralf's Messenger for Leon Kornacki. He attacks for 6 damage.
And there's a Troll. Troll's still good against Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, that green mana is worth a lot. And we're going to see a Verdict. Goes Regeneration, and everything goes away, that Rancor included. Out of the game.
And you can see Reid being very careful with how he's playing his Ravnica duels here, trying very hard not to take any extra points for no reason. Imagine, we're going to Mangler and still hold up a green.
Boom.
And get in for...
Take 5. Leon could be threatening a kill next turn.
Hand looks like Tragic Slip. I'm making he has another Mangler. Just passes the turn.
This is a sign of Sphinx's Revelation or Azorius Charm. Or just desperation and sadness.
I assume we had to pump here and try to go for the kill, right? We can't let Reid just fall to 1. We have to threaten something.
I think it depends on if you've got 2 creatures in your hand or 1 creature. I would still probably go for it either way, but I think if you've got 2, you just definitely do it. If you've got 1, you're pushed to a decision.
Yeah. Especially... Alright, he's just gonna knock him down to 1.
Gravecrawler, does that work? Revelations for 3.
Puts Reid back up to 4.
Revelations tends to find more revelations. 3 is not very big, but gives you a little bit more time, and those cards find that extra revelation, so see what happens.
First one is often about setting up the second one.
This is how a card like this ended up finding itself to be 4 copies when a lot of people didn't even think that it was worthy of 1 copy fairly early.
Yeah, people are often a little slow on the uptake about this kind of stuff, but all you have to do is really cast the card once and then...
Yeah.
The parallel that I like a lot is Cruel Ultimatum. It's like, if you cast it on a semi-stable board, or even if even if you're losing, it's often now you're winning.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about at the time working with Andrew Cuneo on Blue White way back around World's time, having pristine talismans and Blue Sun Zeniths, where it was just like so reminiscent of that to me that I was thinking, okay, this card's got to be the real deal.
Yep.
The life gain is so huge.
So Reid's Thragtusk sends it up to 9. He's going to put it in front of the Dreg Mangler.
4 damage gets through. So Reid is +1 life from where he was a second ago and has that beast. He's looking pretty good to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if he has any more. He could really use just one more sweeper, as you see Tragic Slip finish off the Centaur.
4 damage. Oh, wow. Reid is pointing out that Tragic Slip will not kill the beast.
Morbid Trigger does not. The card actually has to enter the graveyard.
Wait a second. Really?
Yeah, this is. I discovered this interaction myself with my Pillar of Flame Brimstone Volley deck at the
Yep.
at the Invitational a little while back.
Numbo.
Yeah.
That is a coup for Reid, Duke.
Basically, Reid needs a sweeper or another Sphinx's Revelation, I think, to really put this game away.
Yeah. I mean, he's still under great pressure, but he's very close to being out of it. Augur helps.
Yep.
Another body. I think I see another Rest in Peace there, and it's a whiff. There is no card found by the Augur of Bolas. And we 5 mana. Boom. Thrag Tusk. That was devastating.
Getting Reid up to a much more comfortable 10.
And that Lotleth Troll, I mean, remember that moment earlier where he knocked Reid to 1? I think that had he pumped up his Lotleth Troll, he would have Reid right now down to 7 already.
Yeah, I mean, the game plays out a lot differently, but certainly sandbagging that Deathrite Shaman that's actually Woodland Druid because of the graveyard being shut out, it doesn't seem like sitting on that card is that valuable. I could understand casting the Gravecrawler because it's a 2/1. That's totally fine.
Absolutely.
But I would have been very quick to pitch that Deathrite Shaman the moment where it looked like I could get value out of it.
I mean, Terminus and Azorius Charm are the things that you fear there, but put him to it. Ask him the question.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
it's a lot of open mana.
That was a big draw from Leon. He just picked up a Underworld Connections. Again, unclear if that's going to be enough, really. Because if Reid has another Revelation here, he's going to start to pull ahead, but...
Revelations for 7. Is it going to be Contract from below?
No.
Contract from below.
Oh, Reid.
Sign on the dotted line.
7 more and 7 life.
If you lose this game, then you lose another piece of ante there. Okay. Wow.
So yeah, the first one, giving him time to deploy the second one, and now winning
Right.
from here should be. I mean, Leon, the Underworld Connections is certainly a fine draw, but he is being outpaced both in cards and in relevance of cards being drawn.
Yeah. Now, after sideboard, Reid Duke has access to 3 Terminus. Oh, look at this. And Reid's like, I'm coming on in.
Yeah. Not a good sign if you are in the beatdown player's perspective.
Yeah.
When the Thrag Tusk is feeling frisky after a Sphinx's Revelation, it probably means Reid's hand can easily defend against whatever you're up to.
Reid Farseeks.
And after watching this game, I think I was wrong in my initial assessment that, I think you want the second Rest in Peace because it has been absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I agree. I have not actually seen this interaction between a dedicated black-green zombies list. And I think a part of it that goes over the top is that little bits of it, like Rancor, and it just all ends up mattering.
Reid finds an Azorius Charm off of his Augur Bolas.
Oh, how frustrating. I think I see a Detention Sphere in his hand.
Yeah. Reid's hand is just too loaded at this point. It's all a matter of time here before he just picks apart Leon's board.
Augur number 2.
It's not even that hard. It's not even that easy for a zombies deck to beat Augur Bolas, like in play. Period.
I mean, a 1/3 is real.
Yep.
And end of the turn, Leon's like, well, I'll draw a card.
Yeah. A little innocuous compared to what Reid's previous turn was.
I'll draw a card.
If he had found this Underworld Connections a little bit earlier in the game, it actually could have been quite good, but we're past the point where it really matters.
One of the things that is not in attendance in Leon Kornacki's deck is any hand attack. One of the ways that some of these decks, I'm not saying this is the correct path, but some people, how they try to fight this fight is they try to do things like duress away the Sphinx's Revelation before it happens.
Yep.
Leon is fighting on the ground, basically.
Right. And when I was playing Zombies last season, I definitely liked Despise and Distress in the sideboard. They would have been excellent against these sort of decks, but
yeah,
that's a much different format, of course.
Right when this format began, I was really, really high on Despise until someone told me it had rotated out.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, everybody, you got to put Despise in this deck. It's so good right now.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, but it's not legal. I'm like, oh, no wonder it's so good right now.
So you just saw Leon kind of have a Desperation Alpha that didn't get him very far because of Reid's Azorius Charm. And yeah, you can see Leon just not really even close to being able to keep up with what's going on at this point.
In they all come for 7. And Reid with a hand of 6 cards still.
Yeah, I mean, everything he's doing is cantripping or more. Cantripping plus.
So one of the things that's kind of funny about Bant Control is, in a lot of ways, it draws all of these cards, basically none of which do anything other than keep you alive more, other than Thragtusk, you know? But that's sufficient.
Right. Once you are pulling ahead on terms of raw cards, all you have to be able to do is trade 1 for 1 and kill someone with the leftovers. I mean, we've seen this recipe. And there's a Rock's Faithmender.
It's a 1/5, doubles your life gain.
And has lifelink.
Lifelink, thank you.
Yeah.
And draw, he says. That's another land. Leon Kornacki packs it up. On to game 3.
So I'm curious to see now if we're going to see Leon bring in Golgari Charm out of his sideboard after the beatdown we just saw at the hands of. You can also protect his team against Supreme Verdict as well, so...
I mean, the problem with a card like Golgari Charm is that it really has such minimal applications other than being essentially a control-ish card. And it's just kind of difficult. Rest in Peace was powerful, but when you take out a card to put in your Golgari Charm, you're not going to draw something. So, you know, what aggressive piece of the puzzle are you not going to draw?
Well, he can easily cut... I think he can easily cut his 3 Tragic Slips, because they just stink, for lack of a better word. Even if Reid doesn't have Rest in Peace, it's very hard for Leon to actually use that card profitably against Thragtusk and Restoration Angel, Augur Bolas, and none of these threats you want a Tragic Slip. And he doesn't really have any sack outlets in his own deck, so it's not like he can engineer a sequence of sack this for value, now try to slip your guy. So I think that's an easy cut.
I mean, it looks like he already cut something for how many of his Underworld connections?
He has 2 copies.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he might have already cut 2 Tragic Slips for the 2 Underworld connections, which would leave him 1 Tragic Slip, because we only saw the one for a Golgari Charm.
Yeah, it's possible maybe he wanted to cut some of his Diregraph Ghouls when he's on the draw, because it's just too low impact and eaten up by Augur Bolas, whatever, but... I'm not saying he should necessarily bring in Golgari Charm, but...
Oh, I'm not either. I'm just...
Yeah.
I don't think that his deck is well set up to sideboard. I think he has a strong main deck in this matchup, but sideboard-wise, I don't think he has many weapons.
Yeah, and this is, you know, I feel pretty strongly that this is just the way that things often play out in beatdown versus control decks. The beatdown deck doesn't have a lot of wiggle room to sideboard, because a lot of its strength comes from consistency and sort of the homogeneous nature of whatever the deck's up to. Whereas the control deck has to cut 3 or 4 copies of some bad random reactive card, maybe a counter spell in this matchup, whatever the case, and bring in just more cheap spot removal or more blockers or whatever it is they're in the market for. And so you're often it's a challenging slog often if you're a beatdown deck that's well established in the format like Black-Green Zombies, because it's very hard for you to sideboard for control mirrors profitably.
Well, particularly because these days, Wizards of the Coast, they don't make cards like Choke anymore. They don't make cards like Gloom anymore.
Yeah.
So, as a result, you don't have Haymaker sideboard cards, really.
Yeah. I think it's better to live in a world without those cards. But yes, it's definitely...
I mean, maybe it's better, but it sure is fun.
Winning's fun, but I can beat someone without making their lands not on tap for the rest of the game, or making them not cast any spells.
I don't know. A part of me is always going to love stasis, so. Back to basics. I hope I see you in the legacy portion.
Stasis is fun in theory, right? It's like, all right, we can't tap for a few turns, and eventually this goes away. In practice, it does not quite work like that.
It's also got great magic art.
Yes.
It's true, though. In practice, it just doesn't really work out like that at all.
It's like, hey, you put stasis in play for a few turns, and eventually, you run out of islands to be able to keep it around. It's like, all right, that's fine. In practice, it's you are never on never on tapping.
See, I don't know why we shouldn't keep printing cards like that for standard.
I don't know, because it's important. I guess it's probably important for people who enjoy playing. I guess would be the basis, the foundation of my argument. You're seeing Reid here taking a mulligan after Leon kept 7.
Hush you, game developer.
In general, it's better to print things that encourage people to want to play than to not.
For those of you who don't know, Patrick Sullivan is a fabulous employee over at Gary Games, one of my favorite game companies.
We actually just recently changed our name. We are now Stoneblade Entertainment.
Really?
That is an update. We are also, a couple of quick announcements.
Are you serious?
Yes, a couple of quick announcements. We're now Stoneblade Games. You can download the Ascension app for free on the Apple Store. And all you people who are interested about SoulForge, we have a very big announcement coming this week.
Ooh.
And
okay, Stoneblade.
Yeah.
Which one of you Magic players over there named that? Kibler?
I would say, I guess Reid's going down to 5 cards here. I guess I would say the most credit would probably go to John Fiorello, but it was definitely a collaborative process.
John's one of my favorite magicians. When
he's absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, he's transitioned from semi-retired to like mostly retired as far as Magic goes. He did go to Grand Prix San Jose, but
that didn't give him the fire.
I mean, he played with Kibler and Justin, and they were mostly just going to hang out.
Right.
Even Kibler took a pretty casual attitude to that tournament, which is very unlike him. So.
Okay.
John also did a lot of good work designing our logo, which hopefully will be public pretty soon.
Cool. At 5 cards, Reid Duke.
And
he's like, okay, he doesn't look happy with it. Turn 1, Diregraph Ghoul off of a Cavern of Souls.
And there's an Overgrown Tomb. Black and Reid's deck basically just to facilitate.
Wow.
Ooh.
The 1-lander.
I like it, Leon. I like it. Keeps the 1-lander. Only Cavern, so he can't cast Rancor.
Augur, Land, Farseek? Land, Farseek. We're probably going to see a white source now.
And again, the black mana in Reid's deck just there basically to activate Drown Yard. Otherwise, it's just a ban. Otherwise, it's just a ban deck.
Yeah, it's literally only for Drown Yard activation, of which he has 2.
Sort of highlights Leon draws an Overgrown Tomb. Huge draw. There's a Rancor.
Ouch. Yeah. And now Terminus would be useful. No Terminus.
Even Supreme Verdict would be fine right here.
With no Geralf's Messenger in play, could wipe out the board for now. But I don't think he even has a 4th land.
Yeah, he's just passing the turn. And another land, as Reid just acknowledges with a small nod of the head. Azorius Charm on the Diregraph Ghoul, and there's a Geralf's Messenger. So.
Ouch. Again, a Terminus would be an excellent pull here. Nope. All I need is a miracle, says Reid.
Yeah, he needs, think twice into Terminus or something.
Now, he's thinking pretty hard here. So, there are options. He knows that there is a Rancor in Leon Kornacki's hand, which then means that there is 7 damage that could be awaiting him. Now, that's not even counting a card like Dregmangler, which could present 8 damage. There's just a lot of really dangerous things that can happen here.
Yeah, and Reid still has options if he has any cantrips in his hand, either Think Twice or Azorius Charm, although he's missing a 2nd white, so he actually can't Azorius Charm into Terminus here. So I guess it's just Think Twice that could enable that sequence.
Yeah, he says go, I believe. Yep. A heavy side go. Another messenger in Leon Kornacki's hand.
Yep.
If there's a land in his hand, that's practically certain doom. In for 5.
See if Reid has any sort of response here.
Yeah, I think he probably does have a think twice in hand, because I think what he might have been doing is deciding whether he wanted to main phase think for a land or think for a miracle.
Yeah. Just gonna take the
No,
hit.
Takes it. Goes to 3. Go to 1. EOT think. Patient think.
Oh! There it is. We got a game.
Holy crap.
And look how patient Reid was.
That
He was
was-
willing. He was willing to take that 5-point hit. To, if he has to hit Terminus anyway, he might as well take the hit and then think twice for his Terminus there.
That was some masterful play there. I mean, like, the thing is it's not necessarily going to work out.
It's a Farseek.
And he could still very well die. A Giraffe's Messenger, a Drag Mangler.
Yeah, oh yeah. We are not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, but
that was some gorgeous play. Oh my goodness. Thank you for making this a game, Reid, Duke. Wow.
Now, let's see.
That is one for the all-time Star City Games moments.
Yeah, yeah. Not that you're not supposed to obviously be biased in this position, but it would be somewhat deflating if Leon then was just instantly drew a Drag Mangler and kill Reid.
You know what? So many of the great plays in Magic are followed up by that person losing.
Yep.
And Leon Kornacki presents a single threat. Reid Duke here, 4 mana. I don't think he's drawn a 5th, so...
Yeah, it's rough because not only is he tight on lands, but he can't even play a Ravnica Duel untapped at this point.
Yep.
So it's... You see Leon only deploying a Diagraph Ghoul and willing to Grizzly Savage here at the end of the turn. And that's because it's just so hard for Reid to do anything.
Oh, Augur is such an incredible pull. Gives him a Farseek. He says go. That says maybe Azorius Charm, maybe think twice.
I think it has to be Azorius Charm because he knows about the Ranker.
Yeah. Yeah. Block. Pass.
Yep, there's Azorius Charm.
Azo. And we see a Deathrite Shaman and a Vampire Nighthawk. The Nighthawk comes down.
I'm a little surprised we wouldn't just play Deathrite Shaman with Golgari Charm backup. Seems
pretty good.
Yeah. I guess this is similarly good. Gives him a little more game in case Reid plays Thragtusk.
Boom. And he knows that there's the Diagraph Ghoul there.
So I imagine we're going to cast Diagraph Ghoul and our Deathrite Shaman and leave up Grizzly Salvage.
Oh.
But this is still a very good board for Leon.
And now what Reid needs is a land Thragtusk. Land Thragtusk.
And it couldn't even be any land there because the Ravnica Duel does not do it.
Wow. Oh, clawing. And Leon there draws not a basic land, a land. Not what he wants to see right now. Reid's still in trouble. That Deathrite Shaman presents 4 life loss over the next turn sequence. 2 this turn, 2 next.
Yeah, we can also just Ranker up our Diagraph Ghoul right now, which forces Reid to block and shuts out something like Restoration Angel.
Yeah, you absolutely... Boom, There it is. In it comes. Reid forced to block.
Has to block.
Goes to 5.
Yeah, this game got... Adrian and I are both sort of sitting up and leaning in. This one got real good.
Oh, Reid untaps quickly. I predict another Thragtusk. Ooh, is that a Terminus?
He's thinking.
He's thinking that if he casts a Thragtusk, or a Terminus, he can't cast a Thragtusk.
Yes. Yeah, he's just gonna...
So that could be just a nice fake out, because he might be just trying to make it so that Leon doesn't put more on the table. And here's our Thragtusk. Oh, Sphinx is for 2. There we go. That keeps Reid out of a super danger zone, but I believe a Dragmangler still will kill him.
Yes.
End of the turn, Deathrite Shaman will knock Reid to 5, and then another Deathrite Shaman will knock Reid to 3, and then Dragmangler plus Rancor would kill him. So we just have to see if the Dragmangler happens. Actually, no, it would knock him to 1. My bad. Oh, Leon says go.
Reid sort of clawing his way out now.
Remember, Reid Duke, that incredible patience earlier in the game, as well as a double mulligan.
Yeah. And I think a lot of players would just think twice inside of that combat right away and then lost to the messenger that was left over. But Reid was super patient, was willing to let Leon deploy more to the table before trying to go for it.
Reid thinking really hard here. He is so far from being out of the woods.
Yeah. He's still tight on mana even. It's not even like Revelations are that awesome just yet.
Are we going to see a Detention Sphere? Yes. And the Deathrite Shaman gets one last lick in before it ends.
Although we do have a Golgari Charm in our hand. If Reid's not expecting that.
Well, I mean, it's certainly boom.
Yep.
It certainly is going to put Reid into a really dangerous spot here. Is that another Golgari Charm?
I think that's a Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay. That means Reid is dead.
Yeah, the Abrupt Decay plus Rancor. Oh, Reid. Oh, Reid, no.
Okay, it's unsummon or no.
No.
Oh. Now the reason you can hear, I think, Patrick and my mutual disappointment, we don't, we're not having anything against Leon. Patrick knows Leon.
Yeah,
it's
he's
just
a good guy.
That masterful play of Reid Dukes, that patient, beautiful play. It's hard not to root for someone who double mulligans, plays just so beautifully, and then doesn't quite pull it out.
Yeah. But good win for Leon Kornacki. I don't know what was this the X1 bracket? Yep. X1, so Leon, I don't think he's had an invitational top 8 yet, but definitely in striking range. Reid falls to X and 2, and that was a really sweet match. I mean, all 3 of those games were pretty awesome. So,
I mean, I think that's one of those things where, why do we play Magic? It's Aaron Forsyth said, he doesn't play Magic to, feel better than somebody else. He plays Magic for the stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly it. There are stories here. You watch that match of Magic, both of these players are going to be talking about this match later.
Yeah, and it's, it's also the same reason that people gravitate towards the same deck over and over again, or play decks other than what's the best deck in the format. A lot of it is just, you want a particular experience, right? Like that's a lot of what Magic is, and matches like this remind you of that. That was a real good one. That was a good way to start the day. Hopefully the next 7 are like that as well.
I mean, I felt a little bit tired coming into this round, and now I feel like alive and ready.
Yeah, I mean.